Ian and Joanna, we play hard over here. And the way we gonna beat you tonight, it's gonna seem like we hate you. But we don't.
No.
Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Jo Brand. In the news this week, in the gardens at Balmoral, there are suspicions that the sculptor may just have run off with the cash as the Queen unveils a statue of her favourite corgi. Olympic news, and in East London, cycling officials test out the new system to discourage false starts. And on Falklands TV, the breakfast show with Mike and Denise gets off to an uncertain start when Denise turns up late. On Ian's team tonight is one of my fellow writer-performers on the BBC sitcom Getting On, in which he plays a senior figure to me. Not tonight, love. Please welcome Joanna Scanlan. And with Paul tonight is a comedian who says some evenings he'll eat pasta, ribs, beef, donuts and chocolate cake. Yes, I agree, it's nice to snack while you're waiting for the pizza. Please welcome Reginald D. Hunter. And we start with the bigger stories of the week. Ian and Jo, take a look at this.
Oh, yes, Cameron, trust me, I'm a spin doctor.
Yes. Ministering angel, Mr. Cameron.
I'm about to be fired.
Pretty, though.
That's someone trying to see their GP.
Yeah, that's... Oh, dear. Yes. Which lock is it? At the top, the bottom? Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, this is special reduction on sentences. You get half.
In pantomime.
In panto, yes. Well, it's been a bad week all round for the government.
Yeah.
And they're now ahead of Labour on the polls. Can you imagine if they were doing badly?
Exactly.
They're dithering. There's a lot of dithering been happening all week, whether it's health, whether it's crime, whether it's the judges in the judicial system. They don't know whether to, you know, either Louboutins or the Jimmy Choos. They're becoming very, I don't know, female in the sense that they're changing their minds quite a bit.
Oh, that's quite sexist.
She might say something different in a minute.
I did read something this week saying that,
yes,
that it was all to be blamed on Tony Blair's autobiography, which they had read and realised that they should have got in early, that Tony hadn't felt, retrospectively, hadn't got in early enough.
Absolutely.
And changed policies.
No, that's right. They felt they should emulate Blair, except do it quicker.
Yeah.
So don't wait a couple of years for a useless war, go straight in early. Reform the system, try it, give up, and do a U-turn and then say sorry.
And the process upset the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yes, no, he's come out on the side of the poor. God, that'll get him in trouble. What does he think he's there for? Stick to talking about gays and women. Stop interfering in politics. Ooh.
Hang on, I don't know who this is an impression of at the moment. It's not Alan Bennett,
no.
that we know.
Regarding the NHS health reforms, David Cameron said he was going to pause, engage, reflect and listen.
I do the same things when I'm on the toilet.
Well, you might be able to help me out with this question, then.
Anything for you, Jo.
Oh, I'm so glad we're back on that footing already, Reg. Having paused, engaged...
Would you like the rest of us to leave?
No, me and Reg...
They're not going to help.
Me and Reg would like the rest of you to watch.
Oh, yeah. I can't get it out of my head. It's gone, OK. It's gone.
Anyway, having paused, engaged, reflected and listened for 2 months now, what's he gone and done?
He's decided to rewrite the whole reform package. So he's changed quite a lot of it, and the man who wrote it, poor old Lansley, has been hung out to dry.
Well, what he says, he's unveiled 5 pledges concerning the NHS. Does anyone know what they are?
Pledge 1, it will still be called the NHS.
No, his first pledge about the NHS was we will make sure it remains a national health service, which is obviously reassuring. The others are a bit dull, so I won't bother to read them.
They're not that dull. Quite encouraging if you use the service.
Well, maybe it's just that dull people like them.
Yeah.
I'm not being horrible to him. I love dullness. You should meet my husband. Compared to him, Ian seems like the great Bambino, whoever that is.
Great Bambino?
Yes,
What, with the white tights and the silvery waistcoat?
I've no idea, I just made him up.
So am I. I'm making him up as well. I'm
him.
adding flesh to the figure.
Yes. Now, he told NHS workers...
Well, the great Bambino did. I thought he was a fictional character. Now he's advising the government on the NHS. Politics moves quickly in this country, doesn't it? He'll be Prime Minister next.
Actually, all right, it was Cameron. Told NHS workers at University College Hospital in London that he'd learnt a lot during the pause. What has he learnt?
He's learned that it's going to be OK privatising NHS because it did a bang-up job with the trains.
He's learnt that he wants to keep his targets. Isn't that one of his other things? That people actually like the fact that it's only 18 weeks
oh, indeed.
waiting before you...
Die.
Find out if you're pregnant.
Before you see...
18 weeks to find out.
What did Andrew Lansley, who's the minister responsible for the original proposals, say this week?
Was he pausing and looking and learning and reflecting and...
No, he's actually redesigning clinical pathways, which will be in a constantly tight-running cost envelope.
Sounds great.
Well, I just wonder if anyone's got any advice for Mr Lansley as he attempts to put a pathway into an envelope. Now, Joe, you're obviously quite familiar with the workings of the NHS, having co-written and starred in
Having pretended to be a nurse.
But you get pictures of nurses quite a lot,
yes,
don't you?
Yes, because I'm fat, yes. It's as simple as that.
Now, I just have to give it a quick mention again in Getting On.
Yes.
Set in a medical ward for the elderly.
Are we all allowed to do product placement?
It's not a product, Ian, it's a work of art. Joe, did you win a BAFTA recently for Best Female Comedy Performance? Oh, no, sorry, that was me. Sorry, Nathan. Before we leave the NHS behind, can we please have a look at a man who, negotiating some steps outside the Savoy Hotel in London, was lucky not to end up in A&E?
Oh, here we go. Ooh. I think he's going to hit that thing at the bottom. He's going to hit that yellow thing. Go on. Here he goes. And you're saying this is Boris Johnson? Go on, hit the yellow thing. Hit the yellow thing.
Now, don't worry, he was fine. Shall we join him as he continues his journey home? And just to put your minds at rest, as I know some of you will be worrying, yes, he does fall over again.
You know what? I don't...
He seems to be being chased by the Sun newspaper.
Has it lowered his IQ to such an extent he's forgotten how to walk? How does the Sun get a copyright on CCTV footage?
I expect it has a relationship with the police.
Or Satan.
One for the lawyer will take that out.
Back to politics. And where else has the government made a U-turn this week?
Sentencing.
Indeed.
Oh, yes.
Please enlarge.
They were going...
Honestly,
Really? You gonna sit there and act like you don't know what you did?
OK, Controversial changes to sentencing laws, including halving sentences in return for a guilty plea,
Yes.
are to be shelved after a meeting between David Cameron and Justice Secretary Kenneth Clarke.
The suspicion is that it's because it costs a lot of money to keep people in prison. And so people thought, well, why should we just go and have justice on the cheap? So Cameron's changed his mind. People didn't like it. And Ed Miliband said in the comments, he said, "You've changed your mind." And quite right, because I didn't agree either, which is an amazing debating point.
Well, he did accuse David Cameron of overseeing a total mess, and to be honest, he's not wrong.
Jed Wood's dad.
Yeah, the one in there that I'm a bit confused about
Yes.
is the one where they're hammering down in the Dawn raid.
Yeah, that's a rather silly story.
Yeah.
The police went round to smash into someone's flat in London, and Boris decided he'd go as well. DCI Johnson. He's got his own series.
Do you want to just
Troubled maverick cop with a slightly dodgy private life.
He cycles, that's the...
He cycles,
isn't it? Yeah.
that's brilliant.
I better do some house-to-house investigations. I might be some time. Particularly at number 43,
Reg, would you like to see Boris doing a drug raid with the police?
Yes, ma'am.
Here we go.
He went in, and there was a bloke in there who was being arrested, and he saw Boris, and he said, "What the f*** are you doing here?"
What the fuck are you doing here? I think that's what he said.
I don't want to come across all Wayne Rooney.
Oh. Get yourself down Harley Street then, mate. And what can our police officers do to make their day-to-day lives more entertaining, both for them and us, do you think?
Comedy Simons.
Like?
Well, there was that camp one that was introduced about 25 years ago, which they had to drop after a while because it was just... a confused woman trying to buy some Kit Kat.
Keep saying crazy stuff. She gonna take points from us.
Yeah.
Well, one thing perhaps that the police could do is they could maybe be a little bit more like this policeman we're just about to see directing traffic in the Philippines.
So Freddie Mercury ain't dead.
And finally, in foreign vegetable news...
Yes.
What has Spanish Euro MP Francisco Sosu Wagner had to say about cucumbers?
Well, they're safe. Aren't they suing Germany? Because the German Health Authority keeps getting the wrong vegetable.
He's very angry, isn't he?
He's
livid.
He's furious. 1 minute it's Spanish cucumbers, the next it's German bean sprouts.
He was in the European Parliament holding up a cucumber beside his head, sort of waving it like a phallic weapon.
And as if by magic, here he is.
From this day forward, this will never go in a salad.
The only thing I think that's unpleasant about cucumbers is they always used to use them in like, sex lessons to put a condom on, didn't they?
Yeah, demo.
Anyone else do that?
Ruins the taste.
So this is the NHS reforms. There have also been reforms in Britain's policing. The new National Crime Agency is going to replace the much maligned Serious Organised Crime Agency, which was at least an improvement on the frivolous Organised Crime Agency. The Serious Organised Crime Agency has listed various achievements in its defence, saying the international cocaine market is in retreat, though that's largely down to Charlie Sheen switching to heroin. Paul and Reg, here's yours.
All right.
Right, this is this is Wayne Rooney, and he's had a hair. That's him before. That's how he used to be, and that's I don't know where that is.
Oh yeah.
That's the cheap alternative when he was in Sly and the Family Stone. So it's about his hair transplant, isn't it? He's sort of like, it's maybe a hair transplant. It looks a bit like crop circles. Perhaps he's planting crops. Perhaps he's growing a full head of wheat. You're looking at me as if I'm mad, Reg. He's growing wheat on his head so he can feed his children.
I'm looking at you like we ain't gonna win.
I'll revise my answer. This is Wayne Rooney, who this week has had a hair transplant.
Thank you.
And you know how the operation actually works?
Yeah. They find the hairs on his arse and pull them all the way through.
I knew it.
He found a donor, but unfortunately it was Bobby Charlton.
Well, apparently what they do is they dig out the hair follicles from a place on his body where the hair's still growing.
Yeah, exactly.
And stick them on his head.
Exactly.
Joe, give us a point.
You just got a point for that. All right, here, Reg. Here's another question for you. Get this right, you might get another point. Yeah. How much did the operation apparently cost?
In the future, when you ask questions, can you leave out the sarcasm?
We're trying to win here.
You could do something about your tone, too.
A teacher's salary. 30,000.
30 grand. How did the news leak out that Wayne had had a weave?
He tweeted on Twitter. He showed his bonce, his arse bonce to the world. His bum head was displayed.
He did indeed. He took a picture of the top of his head and put it on Twitter.
There we are. There he is, old bottom nut.
Not bad, but he was actually trying to take a picture of a dog having a shit.
What, in his car?
And what did his message that accompanied the picture say?
My head feels great, but my ass hurt a little bit.
Yeah,
I wish it had. It said, "Hi all, there's my head." And would you like to see what Wayne's head has looked like over the years?
I think on balance, probably yes.
Go on then, here it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he don't need no hair there, yeah. Oh, he needs some hair there now. Yeah, boy. He coming back, but he needs some help. That's an aerial shot, right?
Yeah.
And how would you describe Wayne's old hairstyle?
Defunct, gone.
Well, technically it's known as a widow's peak, which usually for Wayne is around 75. Who actually encouraged Wayne to start using Twitter?
Ryan Giggs. Is it not?
You gotta give us 2 for that one, baby. Give us 2. It don't even matter if it ain't true.
Rio Ferdinand.
It was
skipper.
Rio Ferdinand,
Yeah.
who actually recently came top of a survey to find the footballer with the poorest vocabulary on Twitter. What are the major commercial ramifications of Wayne's big decision?
He's endorsed the person who does it.
No. His avatar on the brand new FIFA 12 football game will need to be altered as it features his old widow's peak. I think, actually, if you look closer in the background of that picture, you can just make out Ryan Giggs shagging his sister-in-law. Wayne Rooney is 25, but why doesn't eminent baldy specialist Dr. Bessem Farge recommend young people to have it done? Well, apparently it's because the younger you are, the higher your expectations. So basically, older people only ever expect to look terrible. Now, staying with sporting images and their changes, what has been especially updated this week?
Oh, the Olympic torch.
Yes.
They've made a new design that's useful for the kitchen as well. It's an Olympic torch and a cheese grater.
Blimey, it is a cheese grater. It's one of those pentathlete things when you have to ride a pony across the desert, shoot an arrow into a target and then grate some cheese.
Yeah.
This is apparently so that young people who haven't got very much muscle strength can hold it when they're running.
Why haven't young people got muscle strength?
Because the Tories got rid of all the playing fields, so there's no sport. It's true. Now, Evan Davis of the Today programme held a typically highbrow discussion about Olympic torch design this week. Did you hear it, Paul?
No, I didn't, no, but I'd be fascinated to hear the details.
OK. Well, in that case, here he is talking to Mary Beard, Professor of Classics at the University of Cambridge.
I mean, I'm looking now at some pictures of some old torches, and Mary Beard, some of them have a kind of neo-classic look about them, and some of them are much more contemporary. There's one that looks a bit like a poo, actually, there. There's...
terribly phallic, isn't it?
Looks like the work of Bond's new enemy, Gold Lager.
Now, leaving sport and going back to hair, seamless link. Which great big hairy thing gave up the ghost this week?
Shrek. Shrek the sheep.
Well done.
In New Zealand.
That's right.
Who's been living on a ledge very high up, escaping the shearer for decades.
He ran away in 1998.
Wow.
And didn't come back for 7 years, by which time he looked like this.
Wayne Rooney.
I think that shot would be funnier if you reversed the image. I think if you started out there and then went in, that would be funnier.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
This just in. You know, at first when you said, let's play it backwards, that'll be more funny.
Yeah.
I ain't believe you, man.
How was he described, Shrek, by the people that knew him best?
He's a sheep.
Well, the landowner where he lives said
Yeah.
he didn't really see himself as a sheep. And also, it's the death of an iconic Kiwi who just happened to be a sheep.
He looked around and, like, the shepherd was like, I ain't even gotta watch these cats too much because they dumb. And I just lead them and they'll be here when I get back. But that sheep was like, I'm not like the average sheep. In fact, second you leave, I'm gonna go to the big city. And then I'm gonna get a career. And then I am going to grow a sheep fro. And then...
I take that idea to Disney.
Take the idea to Disney?
Yeah, I reckon. And you could do the voice of the sheep. It'd be brilliant.
Good?
Yeah.
Reggie the sheep.
There we go. This is Wayne Rooney, who this week admitted to having a hair transplant. If you don't want to see the result, look away now. The Express explained the transplant technique, saying hairs are taken from an area such as the neck, though in Wayne's case, they were taken from his palms. Rooney's and the ridicule of his Manchester United teammates this week after a humiliating photograph appeared in the tabloids of him on holiday with his wife. And so, to round two, the strengthometer of news. Fingers on buzzers. Ready?
Yeah.
Here's the first one.
This is Prince Philip, obviously his 90th birthday coming up, and there he is...
Describing the first time he met a black dude.
Yeah.
Indeed. Now, Philip's birthday was obviously an opportunity for the papers to look back over his life. Shall we have a Philip Facts and Foul-Ups quiz?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, great, fantastic. Whoa.
It's like you can read our souls.
Yeah.
Arseholes, Reg. How did Philip describe China to his hosts while on a tour of the country?
Ghastly.
Correct. Well done, Joe
That's the proof
Scanners.
right there.
And what did he say to the MP for Stoke-on-Trent whilst on a tour of the city? He told her it was...
Ghastly.
He did. What did he ask Lord Taylor of Warwick, whose parents happened to be Jamaican? He asked...
Can you say a sentence with ghastly in it?
Where do you come from?
Yes, that's almost right. He said, and what exotic part of the world do you come from? To which Lord Taylor replied, Birmingham.
And now, oddly, Lord Taylor's at Her Majesty's pleasure.
He is indeed. You visited him.
Yeah. I've visited quite a lot of prisons. Last time I went to Wormwood Scrubs, I was having lunch there, and one of the old lags said to me, he said, I'm prison nowadays, I mean, it's so soft, I mean, it's not a deterrent. When I started, then it was a real deterrent. True story.
On meeting the President of Nigeria, who was dressed in traditional robes, what compliment did the Duke pay him?
Are you a woman?
Sadly not.
No.
Are you just about to go to bed? Are you...
He did. He said,
pyjamas?
you look like you're ready for bed.
Nice compliment from the Duke.
And what did Philip say to the Queen following the coronation in 1953?
Where did you get that hat?
He did!
That one I remember.
But what a lot of people don't know is what he said next. It is ghastly.
In other royal news, what was Camilla up to this week? Ian?
I don't know.
She was actually meeting another Camilla.
And then Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, met Camilla, the dog.
Very nice meeting you. I said we named her after you because it's such a beautiful name. And she said, oh, thank you. She was overwhelmed, I think.
This week was Prince Philip's 90th birthday. According to the Express, Prince Philip speaks fluent German and French and Chinese. Well, he can do the eyes. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Here's the next one.
It's a boy in America. This is his father. The father was seeing the boy off on the school bus every day, and the kid said, look, it's embarrassing coming to see me on the school bus every day. The other kids are laughing at me. So he goes in fancy dress. What his father did to him, I don't know. It's nothing what he's doing to this boy. So that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about a man who dresses up.
Indeed. His name is Dale Price.
Oh, okay. I had it wrong.
Oh, were you just going to say that? Sorry, Reg.
What? No. It turns out what I was going to say was wrong. But I thought it was a different story that a young girl wanted a Raggedy Ann doll, and her father said, I cannot afford to buy that for you. But when you get home from school tomorrow, I will have a surprise for you. And then she arrived, and then he was waving like that.
Yeah.
And then she was like, Daddy, this is horrible. And then he said, I know. I am just a transsexual with not much imagination.
I think that's one of the saddest stories I've ever heard.
Would anyone like to see Dale Price in some of his outfits? Well, here he is as a mermaid. Here he is dressed as Wonder Woman. Princess Leia. And here he is in a wedding dress. Is Dale at all concerned about the far-reaching psychological impact this could have on his son?
No, he obviously doesn't care.
No, not at all. According to The Telegraph, Dale said, I hope this lives with him for the rest of his life. And went on to say he can use it against his kids and tell them, if you think you're embarrassed by me, you should have seen your grandfather.
I guess the kid will get a letter in a few days from his mama who's somewhere else saying, I told you.
Finally, here's a picture for you and a question. What has this goose got on its feet?
Socks, some goose socks.
No, its owners...
Is it flip-flops?
Not far off. Its owners have provided their pet goose with a pair of sandals.
You see, nobody looks good in sandals, do they?
Apparently it goes walking quite a lot and its feet were hurting. This is American Dale Price, who waves his son off to school every day wearing a different bizarre outfit. Speaking about his embarrassment to his son, Dale Price said, I hope this lives with him forever. Well, whatever lives with him forever, Dale, it won't be you. Now, here we go again. How many different ways are there of doing this? Fingers on buzzers.
That's Naomi Campbell, and she's been in the news. Cadbury's chocolate put up an advert for some sort of chocolate bar or something that said there's now move over Naomi, there's another diva in town, something like that was the slogan. And this was taken as a racial insult because some black people feel that to be associated with chocolate is a reference to their skin. This is about the second or third time that Cadbury's have done this in the last 2 or 3 years. So it's either they are completely ignorant of what they're doing, or they bring this story up every once in a while so people can mention Cadbury's on television.
When you look at the things that black people have been called throughout the decades, how are you going to get mad about being called chocolate? I mean, you like chocolate when black people ain't involved. You chew chocolate, you suck on it, and then you think it's good. And then, you know, it's kind of an odd compliment, really. I mean, it'd be different if there was, like, a poo, and then they said, Move over, black people. Now, that's offensive. But it's a piece of chocolate, man. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I'm just saying we got bigger ones if it is.
Ku Klux Klan rather than Kit Kat.
If I run for Prime Minister, I want you to head my campaign.
Yeah, I would consider it an honour.
I could just see a poster with my face and the words, why not?
It's worth a go.
Cadbury claimed that the campaign was a light-hearted take on the social pretensions of Cadbury Milk Bliss.
The social pretensions?
I know I was at a party one time and one of them Cadbury things was there, and it was up its own ass.
And according to the Times, Cadbury claimed that the advert was a tongue-in-cheek reference to Campbell's famous diva-style tantrums. Convinced by that, Reg?
Yeah, I'm sure when I go back and sit with the black committee, they will be satisfied.
I've never heard of a Bliss bar. Have you? Has anybody? Do they exist? Are they new?
Ah, you may have hit on the very reason why we're hearing this story.
Apparently, when you eat it, it tastes so good, you go, black people.
OK, the ad features a chocolate bar lying on a bed of diamonds. Clearly, even a year on, Naomi's a bit sensitive about anything that refers to diamonds and lying. The advert made Naomi Campbell furious, but to be fair, she gets furious when she doesn't have water from a glacial stream in the Andes pipetted into her mouth by a Norwegian midget. Time now for the odd one out round. Just one between you this week. A team of bell ringers in North Yorkshire, Howard from Take That, Rapunzel, and 3 audience members at a hypnotist show in Weymouth.
Well, Jason Orange is a...
Howard. Not Jason.
Beg your pardon.
The pressure. Getting to you.
Jason... What's
Howard.
Anyway, he's a member of Take That, and Take That was stranded on the hands of a robot, which was descending and bringing them with them down to the bottom of the stage where they were going to do their act, but they got stuck.
Right. Those people who are asleep?
They were in a trance, hypnotised, and unfortunately the hypnotist had a stage accident where he tripped over the feet of a member of the audience and was knocked out, leaving them in a trance and unable to be rescued. Bell ringers are unable to stay in their tower because they have been told that they make too much noise.
No. It's the bell ringers were locked in the belfry by an angry parishioner or an angry neighbour who was fed up with them ringing all the bells. Howard from Take That was trapped up on the tower. Rapunzel was trapped in a tower. The 3 people who were hypnotised weren't trapped in a tower, they were trapped in a trance, so they're the odd ones out.
Yeah.
Correct. They were all physically stuck, apart from the 3 audience members. They found themselves stuck thinking they were Martians after he tripped over on stage and knocked himself out before he could bring them round. Do you want to have a little look at him in action?
Yes.
I've always hoped the Martians would be more interesting than that when we finally established contact with them.
What, just asleep on a chair?
Just asleep.
They're not used to our atmosphere.
Now, the bell ringers in North Yorkshire were a group of campanologists who found themselves stuck for half an hour in the belfry of St John the Divine Church in Sharrow in North Yorkshire after a local resident took offence to their peal and locked them in. Did trapping the bell ringers in the belfry have the desired effect?
No, because they rang for help.
No, actually, it did seem to work, because apparently after the man poked his head through the trapdoor and shouted abuse at the team, then jammed it shut with a piece of wood, the bell ringers had to abandon their 3-hour peal to focus on trying to escape, so it did sort of work. Do you know who the prime suspect behind this terrible crime was?
The man they saw stick his head through the trapdoor and shout abuse at them?
Yes,
is he the prime suspect?
What his name is?
Oh, Mr. Norris.
No. According to the Telegraph, the man has been identified simply as Mr. Crotchety. He's thought to be between 60 and 70 with an angular face, although no one could give a more detailed description because They tried not to look at him because he was so angry. I have to say, there was a fantastic article in my mum's local paper, the Ludlow Advertiser, and it was about bell ringing, and they said the leader of the bell ringers, his name was Tony Tucker, and for some reason it came out as Mr. Tiny Fucker. On the front of the Ludlow Advertiser. I love that.
Did you say that's where your parents are?
Yes, that's where my mum is, yeah.
Your mom in Ludlow?
Yes.
All the money you done made, and you still let her sit up there in Ludlow.
Ludlow's lovely.
Very
Really?
classy town, Ludlow.
Really?
Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been to Ludlow.
Did you think it was a shithole?
I didn't think it was a shithole, but I mean, like, didn't nothing happen after 9 o'clock.
But my mum's not a clubber, really. Do you think I should move her to Penge?
That's where we all end up.
What they do in Penge?
Oh, we don't want to know what they do in Penge.
You been there a long time?
About 10 years.
You go see her much?
No. Can't stand her.
That's why you going to hell.
So, this isn't the only incident of bell-related crime in Sharrow. What else has happened in this village?
It's not Midsummer Murders, is it?
No, it should be, though. Apparently, many suspect Mr. Crotchety could have been behind an anti-bell ringing campaign a few years ago when, according to the Telegraph, his most dastardly crime on that occasion was to wedge a potato in a car exhaust.
You just can't beat crime in the villages, can you?
You really can't. Howard from Take That found himself stuck in the hand of a 20-metre-high robot called Om after mechanical failures hit the £15 million production in Manchester this week. Apparently, he was just about to launch into his big moment in the show, which I think, in brackets, we can read only moment in the show. 8 bell ringers were trapped in the bell tower of a church in North Yorkshire by a local after he complained about the noise. The bell ringers were eventually saved by a parishioner who heard them stamping their feet. She said it sounded like people doing river dance up there, in which case she should have just left them there to rot. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication Epitaphs, the magazine for and by cemetery lovers. And we'll start with, for Bob and Rusty Clark, cemeteries are a great place to what?
Start a fire.
Have sex.
Have sex. Bob and Rusty.
Is it steal bodies and sell them for medical research?
No, even though they are. No, the answer is cemeteries are a great place to snack. Talking about their local graveyard, Rusty says our town gravestone carver, John Ely, is buried there. Sadly, the only unmarked grave in the cemetery. And the next one's that's not what, it's what.
That's not Saturn out the window, it's a reflection of a ping-pong ball on top of the wardrobe.
That's not cemetery etiquette, it's ghastly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's not a bomb, it's a cupcake. MI6 hacked into an Al-Qaeda website and replaced instructions on how to make a bomb with a recipe for cupcakes. That's not a bomb, that's a cupcake. Probably Mr. Kipling's least successful advertising campaign. Next, taphophiles are what?
It's Greek, isn't it? Taphophile, people who love graves. Grave lovers.
Yes, you're along the right lines. Taphophiles are multiplying like rabbits, and they are people who like graves.
I didn't know rabbits could do maths.
This is an article about the kind of people who like wandering around cemeteries and are also known as graveyard rabbits, who share their name with one of Anne Summers' less marketable products. And finally, what do you call a funny German what?
Rare.
Hair ha-ha.
I think, Ian, you're near enough to it.
There was some survey that said that ranking countries by how funny they are, the Germans came bottom.
That's right. Answer, there isn't one, apparently.
Right. But I think it was voted for largely by countries who the Germans had invaded at some stage.
The Germans are not a funny race. Knock, knock, who's there? The Gestapo. That's it.
We're going to have the German ambassador complaining to this programme again.
Yeah. Did he complain before?
he has complained repeatedly about how the members of this panel are just stuck in the Second World War, and it's our only reference, it's the only thing we ever think about German, and it's the Gestapo again. No sense of humour, you see.
For you, Ambassador, the joke is over.
So, the final scores, we've got to that point, are Ian and Joe 4, and Paul and Reg, they've run away with it and have 7.
Oh, well done.
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition.
Is the bloke in the middle thinking this is the worst identity parade I've ever attended?
The dude in the middle is doing the British thing of, if I don't look at that person, then they don't exist.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists Ian Hislop and Joanna Scanlan, Paul Merton and Reginald D. Hunter. And I leave you with the news that there are suspicions that government cutbacks are affecting the Metropolitan Police's Rapid Response Unit. At his 90th birthday party, Prince Philip asked the Bishop of Durham, "Did you spill my pint?" And Disney admits it was a mistake to hire Quentin Tarantino to direct the new Winnie the Pooh movie. Good night.
Stephen Fry is asking Jeremy Clarkson about all things green in QIXL next on BBC Two. Then it's time for a break for broken arms or legs in particular as the Grumpies talk skiing at 10:30. Well, over on BBC Three now, a double dose of Family Guy.